In a world, in a wasteland of infinite podcasts, one man who's hissing like a radiator, laughing at his own intro, will try to conduct an interview with a psychopath. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to... What's this thing called?
That works for me.
I'm so used to introducing my own show that I'm like...
That's Chris Aballo. Wow. You know who I am. Let's get to it. Episode 19 of the U-Goboy Podcast. Let's go, baby. Give me all the drops. All the drops. All the drops. All the drops. We do drops on here, Chris. We do drops on here.
See, but yeah, we don't have time for drops on my show. We're too busy being funny. But whatever. Everybody's got their own style, I guess. What the hell is that, fire drill?
Yes.
Should we get out of here?
What the deuce?
Yesterday's price
is not today's price. We do everything. We do everything.
Yahtzee.
Where's my camera? Where's my camera?
You go, boy.
Where's my camera? It's your boy. You go, boy.
Go, boy.
Again, once again, I promised you guys long ago, last year when we kicked this bad boy off, that heavyweights, the best of the best. This is episode 19 of the U-Goboy Podcast, live from Bravery Studios in lovely Garfield, New Jersey. I've got a fellow Bravery elite. Remember, we're part of the Marvel universe. So
we are.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, the Bravery equivalent of the Avengers.
Exactly. Marv Perdomo on the boards as always.
Okay, he's our Nick Fury for
he
sure.
He is. He's got the patch and everything. You know, I
does
love
he?
it. Yes, he does.
Okay, we're not gonna take. It's a prop though. Like we're not taking his eye out. That'd be weird.
But
Savage.
I got some. We're gonna have fun today. We're gonna have fun today. Before we begin, as always, thanks. Round of applause. Thanks for all the supporters across all the platforms. We're closing in on 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, on the YouTube channel.
Nice.
We're gonna hit that probably in a few days. I think we have crossed 700,000 views on the YouTube channel. Can I get a Fat Joe?
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
We got drops on here, man.
You got a lot of drops.
I
thought you were ordering us fat sandwiches. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. Like, what's the Fat Joe?
Funk Flex.
It's like it's just mozzarella sticks on bread. I'm like, that's fine. I haven't had a carb in like 6 months, so I'm down.
This is a keto
show mode.
This is a keto safe space as well. So
is
you're
it?
good.
Okay.
You're good to go here.
Good.
You're
So no sugar allowed.
And we have Chris Tucker. You know we've got Chris Tucker. Oh yeah. Oh man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you once again. Round of applause one more time. All the subscribers across all the platforms for blowing your boy up. Oh man. Thank you guys. Love. Big love to everyone. And of course, we gotta pay the bills. U-Goboy merch. I've got the Yahtzee t-shirt. This is the official Yahtzee t-shirt.
Yahtzee.
Is available in the link below. At the store. Big shout out to Teesprings for the sponsor, and as well as the dad hat. Thank you, Jeff Bezos and Amazon for the dad hat. That's also available.
Yahtzee.
So again, the Yahtzee shirt, the Yahtzee drop. Chris Aballo's here. He's got long hair. He's got piercings. We're here. We're out here, outside. No tent. I love it. We're gonna have fun today.
This is like a talk version of NBA Jam.
It's okay
because I keep waiting for rejected and all that stuff. Like
He
I'm
is
hearing all the
on
sounds.
fire.
Yeah, exactly. Boom shakalaka, which is nothing more awesome than a white guy saying something like boom shakalaka.
I miss NBA Jam. Good call. Good pull.
I do too.
Good pull. I like it.
I mean, do you remember NBA Jam? I mean, you're
Yes.
a couple years younger than me.
Are you
not
kidding
that much,
me?
But I'm
Yeah.
just asking.
Yes.
I'm like, all right.
Where's my camera? Yes. We had a Genesis at my cousin's house, and then my mom got tired of us playing that one, so she's like, "I'm buying you a Genesis. I don't want to there anymore."
You got to impress your mother too. Awesome.
Of course.
Good
So, but no, hell yeah. Mortal Kombat 2, Street Fighter 2, most of the 2, Sonic 2. Me and my brother beat that a couple times.
Nice.
So yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Genesis for sure.
I was a Super Nintendo guy, so we always play NBA Jam with Super Nintendo.
Okay. So
I'm not willing to fight
Did
about
you
it.
see the
I'm just
new
saying-
Mario movie yet?
I did not. I'm curious about it, but people say it's good.
I've heard it's great.
See, the response is just like, it makes you want to play the game. So I'm like, I think
that's the point.
I know, but I'm going to wait like 8 weeks and watch it on Peacock so then I could just plug in my GameCube. And
smart man.
Because
smart
I'm like, I'm going to leave the theater and just want to go home, just be like, it's time to play some Mario World.
I need the DJ Khaled. You smart. I need that next. I got you. But can I introduce you? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I tend to derail things, especially as a guest. On my show, forget it.
An Italian and a Nigerian walk into a bar. But I'm pumped. For sure.
You'd think one of them would have seen it. All right, anyway. It's a dad joke. I'm done. Good night, everybody.
Let's get this party started. On tonight's episode.
Don't applaud that.
Yes, of course. The Marv cam is coming. Marv cam is coming. I wish you guys could see Marv. Oh yeah, go stream U-Goboy Music. Go stream U-Goboy Music. My latest video, All the Time, just crossed 85,000 views on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. So, shout out to everybody. Go stream U-Goboy Music on all platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. But we're gonna have fun tonight. I can't wait to I can't wait to do this guy's podcast. But we got a Bravery Elite in here. Let's go with the abbreviated intro.
Yes,
he is the executive producer, creator, host, master of universe of the Chris Aballo podcast experiment. Give me another Fat Joe.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
He is a writer. He is a musician. He is an actor. He is a Bravery Studios elite, a Jersey native. On tonight's episode 19 of the U-Goboy Podcast, live from Bravery Studios. We got Chris Aballo in the building. Make some noise. Woo! You like that intro?
Yeah.
You like that?
I'm not waiting for everybody else. I'm just going to applaud myself. All right. That's right.
That's what we do, man. I gotta make sure. I gotta get the people going. Gotta give them what they want.
Of course, they're at home screaming right now. They're going nuts. If we could see them, there's a fan cam.
That's the point. That is the point.
Live stream next time.
Yeah, so when I get monetized, which is soon, I'm about 400 watch hours. So many freaking brass rings to chase, but we're from 400 watch hours away from being monetized. So when that happens, we are absolutely doing live, on location.
Oh yeah,
in the street, in a homeless shelter, wherever. Like we're doing live on location episodes with the chat and all that. I want my super chats. I want my super chats.
We just outlined. It's on the first show. Now, if my show comes back, just really quickly, just to get my
shameless plug.
Plug. I mean, you brought me on here for a reason. And it's not just going to be to reenact scenes from cinema classics, but April 24th, my show comes back. Chris Aballo's podcast experiment, as was just mentioned.
Yes.
And in the first show, we actually pitched and sold ourselves on what our live stream is going to be over the summer. I won't say what it is, but you touched on a couple of things. We were like, we totally need to do that. So
can I get a Fat Joe for that? Can I please get a Fat Joe for that, please?
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Expensive. It's expensive to talk to Chris Aballo. Where's my camera?
Yeah, because this is going to be more than an hour. It's like Marvin is going to send you an invoice this fucking long. Wait, can I curse?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you're going to have a hell of a time editing this. Otherwise,
either way, I'm going to have a hell of a time editing. So I'm all for it. Shout out to CapCut. I
got to find a way to get this down to 56 minutes.
Woo!
Like, is any of this usable?
It will be. But
yes, it will.
But Chris, thank you for coming on. Appreciate you as always. Got some announcements on here too later on if you're comfortable with some stuff that we worked on behind the scenes.
Absolutely, we can talk about that. By the time this goes out, there may be there probably will be we're doing this in advance, obviously.
Yes. This is pre-recorded. It's live and pre-recorded. It's a little bit of both.
Yes.
So yeah.
There will be at least a teaser out.
Yes.
So we can talk about it. It's not cut yet, otherwise I would have shown it to you.
Lovely.
But by the time this goes out, there should be at least a teaser. So we can talk about that at the end if you want.
Awesome. We'll talk about it.
This is stuff we should have talked about before we were rolling. But anyway, go ahead.
No. We're here. We're here. So anyway, let's start from the top, man. So
okay.
Where did it all begin? Where did the Chris Aballo story? Where did it all start, man?
So we talking geographically, spiritually? What do you want to know? It started here in the Garden State.
Let's do season 1 of The Sopranos. This is the pilot episode.
Yeah.
I need some freaking Tony Soprano drops or some Paulie Walnut drops at least. Those are coming. New drops coming.
These ducks came and they were in my pool. She was beautiful. These ducks.
He does impressions too.
You're such a Sopranos fan, and I kept whipping impressions on
Keep them coming. We're here for
You're not going to believe this. Guy killed 60 Czechoslovakians. He was an interior decorator.
Forget about it.
His house looked like shit. You're going to learn nothing about me in the next hour. I just want to say.
Rest in peace, James Gandolfini.
Yeah, James Gandolfini.
Rest in peace.
One of Jersey's finest.
Love you, homie.
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah. So I was born and raised, yes, in New Jersey. Grew up in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Lakewood. Okay.
In 1981. And yeah, that's. I mean,
all right, guys. See you guys next week.
Thanks for having me. It's like that's actually all I wanted to know. I made you drive all the way to Bravery. It's like, how old are you? Too old. If anything came easy for me, I wouldn't be sitting here at 41. Yeah. So all of this started like, it's so funny. Like people have said, like, oh, do you remember your first memory or anything like that? And I kind of don't. I don't know if this is where you're going with it, but now that I'm rolling,
unfiltered, authentic conversations. It's on the shirt.
I mean, that's what podcasts are, right? So we have no choice but just be like, we're going to go with the flow and
just let it fly. Man, let it fly.
Cannon. Cannon.
So I don't really have any memories until I was like 2 or 3 years old, and even then, I just remember I was sitting on the floor playing with some kind of toy, and like that's kind of it. Like I have memories from pictures, and that's kind of all. But where all of this, the fact that I'm sitting here, literally the reason I'm sitting here, where it all started, per my bio, was the Christmas 1985. I got Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA album on cassette from my parents, which, now that's slightly before your time, but
a little bit.
In Jersey in 1985,
kind of a big deal,
especially in the Born in the USA era. Like at that point, the man's worldwide. He's probably the biggest star in the world, biggest music star in the world. I mean, it's neck and neck with like Michael Jackson, because this is right after Thriller, because Thriller was 83, and Born in the USA was 84, and even more so than like Prince, because like Purple Rain popped, but like Purple Rain got bigger and bigger. Like it was a big deal at the time.
That age,
then the movie comes out.
Purple age,
exactly, like not right out of the gate, but like Born in the USA was just like it went into the stratosphere.
Yeah,
and at a point, I'm pretty sure, like, once they realized the album had sold almost entirely, I think they just started issuing copies with the Sunday Asbury Park Press just to make sure the entire state was covered. It's like, does everybody have a copy of this album? Okay, good. So, anyway, it was at that point, and Bruce was just ubiquitous anyway. And aside from being from New Jersey and him growing up a half hour from where I grew up, I mean, Freehold's a half hour from Lakewood. That was the first moment of like, oh, I'm going to sing and play guitar. So, literally, Bruce Springsteen is the reason I started dreaming. If I hadn't been given that album, which is a stellar album, there's not one bum track on it.
On cassette.
Yeah. And that was an era. Well, the cassettes are back now.
They are.
But
they are.
Anyway, if not for that, the version of Chris Aballo that exists today would not exist, because Bruce is the reason I started dreaming. So it really all goes back to that. Even as far as just like, I'm going to sing and play guitar one day. Now, that didn't happen for another like 12 years, but still... or at least it didn't start until that many years later. But that was kind of the first inkling of like, oh, this is what I want to do. Just the idea of being a performer was kind of where it started, like the absolute beginning.
I love it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. For me, it's funny. I remember getting ready for school. I was probably somewhere between 2nd grade and 4th grade in East Orange. Garden State.
It's orange. It's not orange. People from out of state do not know
or if you're really from there, it's EO.
Well, that's fine. But the pronunciation, everyone's just like East Orange. I'm like, no, it's East Orange.
Orange.
Like you can call the fruit an orange if you want, but the town, it's East Orange, South Orange, West Orange,
and just Orange.
It's orange.
There's no North Orange, by the way.
Correct.
I remember for me, in grade school, I was getting ready for school one day, and this was back when MTV played music videos. Way back in the day.
I remember that. What a time.
What a time to be alive. It was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Give It Away, that video. And for those who don't remember, it was completely black and white.
Yes.
A lot of face and body paint, a lot of wild imagery, and just something about that video. I just fell in love with not only just the Chili Peppers and that sound, but just expression. Just pure expression. Just like, I'm just watching it like, I don't really know what's going on. I wasn't really allowed to listen to rap music or MTV in my house, but like it was just me and my brother awake getting ready to walk to school.
And the Chili Peppers of all bands were not off-putting?
They were, yes.
Your parents were like, no,
it is the devil's music. He was the devil's music.
Yeah. It's like, they're white. Why do they sound like that? It's like California people. I don't know what to tell you.
What was
Too
that?
Much Sun.
What album was that? That was Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. Yes. I have that on CD, by the way. I borrowed that and never gave it back to my buddy Willie Dale.
You better cash app that dude right now.
Yeah,
He's liable to yourself.
I need to.
You should. Oh my God, I own that too. I think I own like 2 Chili Pepper CDs. They're one of those bands who, like, the older I get, I just don't enjoy anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen them in concert though? I've seen them in concert.
I have.
And they're incredible in concert. For the record,
I believe that, but. It's like there's only 2 sounds to Chili Peppers, and the older I get, the more they annoy me. There's like in the early, like before.
Right, we're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it here. We're gonna cut it here.
Well, thanks for having me. That's a recurring joke.
Savage.
You heard me. You're breaking my heart.
I thought that was gonna be Captain Jack saying "savvy." I was like, Marvin's in there agreeing.
You're breaking my heart, bro. You're breaking my heart.
Before Blood Sugar Sex Magic, every song was just and then after that, it's just you
make it sound like the Muppets. It's terrible.
Come on. I mean, if I've ever heard the sound of Cottonmouth singing, it's Anthony Kiedis. All right, but there's a few. Look, Tom Petty, same thing. I'm just like, it's Bob Dylan with fresh batteries. You know, it's like, because his voice is a little more steady than Dylan.
That's too savage.
There's
goodness gracious.
Pearl Jam I don't enjoy anymore, just because I'm like, I don't understand a word this guy's saying.
I never got into Pearl Jam.
Exactly. So. And the pickle and mouth singing, I'm just not a fan.
Wow.
So there are a few that, like, over time, and unfortunately the Chili Peppers fall in that category. Unpopular opinion, I'm well aware, but
it's okay.
We keep it real here on the U-Goboy Podcast.
Unfiltered, authentic, live from Bravery Studios.
That's right.
Unfiltered, authentic conversations.
Click the episode description and buy some merch.
Yes, buy some merch.
That's right.
Before we continue, can you hand me that lovely poster to your left?
I can.
That is a dope piece of art.
Yes, it is.
Shout out to Things Galore US, the official sponsor of the U-Goboy Podcast. My older brother, Kingsley Onyata. This is his company, AI-inspired art, women's goods. I just got this literally from Amazon. From Amazon in the mail today on the way to the studio. It was perched out on my porch. Yes, this is a lovely samurai, and my brother created this with the help of AI, of course, but he created this amazing portrait, art pieces, mugs, canvas pieces, 8x10, 11x14, a billion by a billion. He's got it all. Things Galore US. That's Etsy.com as well. So grab yourself some pieces. You gotta pay the bills. Like,
I didn't want to step on your plug. I wanted to keep it like 2x4, whatever you're looking for. You got it all. All right.
All that good stuff.
I did. I just. Well, that's it. I'm like, he's doing a plug. Don't.
You gotta get some. You gotta get some too, man. I'll send you the site.
I know.
There's some good stuff on there.
No, for sure. I'm looking at this, and I thought this was a studio piece, but now that I know that it's something you brought in,
well, I was talking to Marv off camera before. Things Galore is donating a piece to Bravery Studios, an official piece. So let me get like 3 Dom DeMarcos for that. We do drops on here. That's what we do. That's going on a shirt. We do drops on here.
We do drops. That should be your tagline for the show. It's like mine is embrace the chaos. Yours is we do drops.
We've got more drops on the way. I'm excited.
So, I was wondering why Marv has a Band-Aid on his index finger.
It's from my episodes.
I bet
100%.
So I'm like, that poor guy's all blistered up. Like eventually he's just going to be like punching the keyboard. It's like he's laughing through the glass. Now that's soundproof glass he's laughing through. So
no, he wears goalie gloves when it's time for me to do my show.
Smart man. And you're only in your
done.
19th episode.
Only on the 19th.
And he's already like, I don't know how much longer I can do this.
It's going to be, he'll have an AI doing my show by episode 100 because it's just too many drops.
Is that where we're going?
That's where we're headed.
Okay.
The Robo Uprising is real. Skynet won.
I expect to cut rate since we're not going to have a live engineer then.
Skynet won. It's over.
Without a doubt.
It's been over. It's been over.
That's it. All right. This is all finite. The human experiment's almost over. We're circling the drain faster and faster as we get closer and closer.
Oh my God! Shout out to the T2.
Nice optimistic.
What's Arnold's the T200 T2
the T1000
T1000.
He was the T800.
Well, the Judgment Day. Talking about Judgment Day. What was that guy? The liquid.
Oh, that was the T1000.
Okay, all right.
T1000.
Yeah, they won. They won.
Yeah, they
definitely won. Did you? Oh my God! I remember watching that on. I had that. I still have that on VHS cassette. Watching that as a kid, I was like,
I have that recorded off Showtime.
I was like, this is over. I was like, if we gotta fight those, it's over. It is so over.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, the machines are in fact rising up, and they're just going to take over.
So let's talk about LA.
Let's talk about LA.
Please, let's.
Sure.
Because I was reading your bio. By the way, your bio is very similar to your intro in terms of a 50-minute soliloquy that goes in every direction possible. I remember you sent me your bio today. Actually, I'd already created one for you from just knowing you and working with you. But reading your bio and just taking little bits and pieces that created the script for today's show, it was fun. You've lived a million lives. You have a Hulu original story of a life. Like it's interesting, man.
It's been an interesting couple of lives. I will say that.
I mean, Los Angeles. What brought you out there? While you were out there, what the hell happened? And now you're back in Jersey. So
correct.
Full circle.
Okay,
let's
so
talk about it.
There are two stints. There's the LA Years Volume 1, the LA Years Volume 2.
Double CD?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. There's and 8 years worth of history of 20% of my life was spent in Los Angeles, which explains a lot.
Nice.
Anyway, well, what first got me out there was, so I started playing guitar at 16. I eventually got around to the singing and playing guitar part that I dreamt about when I was 4. And after a bunch of bands that just kind of went nowhere, I said, well, what was in my mind was, because music was the primary for me. It was like,
that's what brought you out there.
Yes,
was music.
Because what happened was, it's actually coming up on, goddamn, I'm just realizing this, that May, I'm going to mess up the date. I don't remember the date.
Just round.
It was May of 2003.
That's perfect.
So I went and saw, it was a Beatles tribute show featuring a bunch of musicians who I love. Mike Portnoy, longtime drummer for Dream Theater, current drummer for the Winery Dogs. Paul Gilbert, who played in Racer X and Mr. Big, a graduate of Musicians Institute, where I went. I feel like I'm just speeding through that. It's not Magicians Institute. It's not Hogwarts. Musicians
definitely is Hogwarts.
Institute. Went saw the show. It was my first time seeing Paul Gilbert, who's one of my guitar heroes, play live. And after kind of doing a deep dive on him, it's just like, oh, he went to GIT, the Guitar Institute of Technology at Musicians Institute. And so I looked into that, and I'm like, well, let me do that. Let me focus on, I will be the best musician I can, because I kept, ultimately, now I'll say this, my lack of fulfillment of my musical ambitions at that point was, it wasn't the right people. I never found the right combination of people. And now it's, as time, I'm included in this category, but it was mostly people who ended up ultimately not pursuing music. And for me, I was just like, well, I'm not finding anybody who's serious, but like stopped way before me, or at least just went in other directions, and no judgment, because it's, it's not easy, as it's not easy,
for sure,
but in my mind, I was like, I'm going to be a lifer. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try to make it was never about being a star. It was just, I'm going to make a living playing my music. But I said, I'm going to be the best musician possible, because then, number one, I'm going to get around people who are of a similar mind, who are, like dedicated to the cause. And also, like, the better I am, the more likely I am to find other people who are committed, or people who want to work with me or form a band with me. Because my dream was ultimately to be in a band.
Okay.
That's why I kind of pursued music. It was never to be a solo artist or anything like that. And I tried a couple of different hats on. I did like the singer-songwriter thing. It kind of didn't fit me, and I never wanted to be a solo artist. I honestly, my ambition for music was, I wanted to be in Def Leppard. Not literally, but it was like, it's a band of 5 guys who are like this gang of friends who genuinely are friends, who make awesome music together and are also huge. Yeah. Even though without necessarily that expectation, but it's just like, I wanted to be in a band that was like a gang. There was a bunch of friends, 4 or 5 guys in a row, not one guy up front. And then like his bandmates. Like, I wanted it to be, yes, exactly. I wanted to be a team, a cooperative. And now, as time has showed us that Def Leppard's definitely one of the exceptions to the rules, because so many bands can't make it work. Literally, they're on tour with Motley Crue, and they just got rid of their guitarist of 40-something years, and then they're fighting each other.
It is an AI. It's an AI. It's not even bandmates.
I mean, there's supposedly some tracks going on. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying supposedly, because that's the rumor. But anyway, so that was my ambition, was to be in a band. It was not to be a hired gun guitar player, and it wasn't to be a solo artist. So that was kind of like, well, the better musician I am, the better chance, and the more likely I am to get around people. Because there's also a lot of cover bands. Like, cover bands are huge in the Jersey Shore, particularly at the time. I mean, they still are now, but like at the time, it was easy. And also, were more just rock songs, like in the top 40, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. There's a lot more diversity in popular music. So you would have people going up and playing, you know, Blink, or even like fast forward a couple of years and there was like Linkin Park, or, you know, anything, even Avril Lavigne songs, you know, someone having like a female backup who would then sing, you know, lead.
Well, that was a big part of college. I got into music after comedy, doing stand-up for about 2 years, and then I got into hip-hop. But I quickly realized that, especially at a football school like Penn State,
right,
bars, clubs, any big like venue with drinking in public, they don't want original music. They want cover bands.
Yes.
They want Now That's Music 1 through 10.
Basically.
That's all they want. And Marv likes that. I still have Volume 1. My ex-girlfriend gave it to me on CD.
Yeah, you didn't steal that one?
No, I did not steal that one. She gave me that, and she gave me Cranberries as well. Their first album, Zombie.
Good man.
Zombie was her favorite song.
Well, that's the second album.
Yeah.
No Need to Argue is the second Cranberries
My
album.
bad.
It's okay.
It was one of their CDs.
I got it. Well, listen. I'm not a stickler, but Cranberries is one of my favorites.
But like the video, subscribe to the channel. But no.
Right.
So when you said cover bands, that immediately triggered me in terms of like. And I was fortunate because at Penn State, there was a songwriters club, which was created by a good friend of mine, Brian Walker, A Day Without Love, a future guest from Philly. And it was basically like a commune. It was like a collective, similar to Bravery Studios in terms of you have a group of people who get together and just network. And we're all songwriters and rappers
creative
and producers.
Community.
Yes, a creative community, man. It was awesome. And I'm still friends with a lot of people that were in the original season of the Penn State Songwriters Club.
Nice.
But it was beautiful because I was allowed. That's when at the time I was used to call myself the U. For copyright reasons, I switched to U-Goboy. A lot easier to find too on social media.
Yeah.
But
U-Goboy.
for sure, hence the drop. But yeah. So you mentioned cover bands. That's like that was the soundtrack of my 5 years at Penn State. 1000%.
And the era too. Like I mean, again, they exist now, and there are a handful of bands that are still around in Jersey from that time. But like those were the gigs. And as much as some of my bands, like we played a couple of covers, you know, during different iterations, but it was some well-known songs. You know, we did a couple of bandos in the early 2000s, just before I moved to Hollywood, Musician Studios, literally in Hollywood. We did like, you know, Just What I Needed by the Cars and What I Like About You. And, you know, Weezer had put out the Green Album in 2001. And that was when we got together. So we were playing like Island in the Sun and Hash Pipe and stuff like that. But while writing originals, we just kind of want to have a diverse set where it's just like, well, okay, we got a few songs people know, and then we can work in kind of our own stuff was our thought. Too. But you know, there's another band that fell apart. But anyway, went to school, and that was an excellent 2 years, and I became the best musician yet, for sure, because it's 18 credits per quarter. I got there with the intention of doing the initial year just to get a certificate because I just wanted to be the best musician I could be.
Yeah.
But when I got in there, it's just like, if I do an extra 6 months, I get an associate's degree. And for me, it wasn't about the degree, but I thought like, well, aside from, I could do this for an extra 6 months, it was like, well, at least my parents can say he has a degree in something.
Yeah.
Because I moved out there when I was 24. I was just working and trying to get bands going and everything because I went to community college. Funnily enough, for 4 consecutive semesters.
No shame in that. Both of my parents did.
Totally.
I mean, they were immigrants, but
I was lazy. That was my problem. I went to 13th to 14th grade.
Savage.
Give me 5 Ric
County College.
Can I get 5 Ric Flairs, please? Like, that's all Nature Boy right there. Continue.
No, I didn't finish a single semester. Well, I technically passed music theory because my average was so high that I missed the final exam and like 3 tests and still ended up with a D. So I passed 1 class out of 4 semesters, and I just didn't stick with it. But that's fine because I went to school when I was ready, and I pursued something I wanted to pursue, which was music. So I was... it doesn't... That's the thing. Like, at the time, it feels like, you know, when you're 24 and everybody else is 18 or turning 19, feels like there's a lot of life in between that. And like, I'm so much older than these people. When ultimately it's not, you know, like that's a similar amount of, you know, age difference between you and I. And it's like, it's meaningless now. But like when you're in your almost mid-20s, you're just like, oh my God, they're all kids. I'm so old to be doing this. And I wasn't.
It's still your journey, though.
It is.
The older I get, and I'm pretty sure you see this the same way. We've had these conversations off camera. It's like, yeah, time has elapsed and the years have accrued, but it's like you're where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the way I look at it. I don't look at living in Pennsylvania for 7 years as like a waste of time. I don't look at being in education teaching for 7 years.
Right.
I don't look at that as a waste of time because I use that time to figure out what I needed to do and where I needed to be.
Exactly.
So if it took 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years, it took the amount of time that it needed to take. And I look at where I am now, and we've met when we were supposed to meet.
Exactly.
And
well, that's it.
We got into each other's lives when we were supposed to. That's how I look at it.
That's exactly it. And these stages happen. You don't realize what role they play in your story.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times until they passed, because what happened, to put a button on volume 1 of the LA years. So I graduated school, and basically everybody moved there from other states, and they all moved back. I had one friend who was from the Valley, who was still there, my friend Sean. And but otherwise, everybody else who I knew, they were all moving back home. And at the same time, there weren't any gigs at the time through the school, because they tried to get you set up with everything, but it was like, it wasn't great. And it was just timing, I guess. And this is also prior to this is spring of 2008. So there's a recession that's about to happen that we kind of didn't know yet.
Yeah,
like this, where
yeah.
things are starting to unravel, but like the public wasn't aware of it. But at the time, it was just like, you could play guitar in the band on cruise ships for $300 a week, and it's a 12-month contract. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like at $1,200 a month, like my rent in LA is more than that, and I can't break my lease. So I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to take that. And like 12 months, like that's a long commitment, especially when like your scale of life is, I was 26 at that point, and I'm like, that's a chunk of time. I don't know if I want to spend, and it's not like the money's that great. If the money was like so good that I couldn't say no, that maybe it would have been up for like, I'll do this for a year and that's it. But so I ended up moving back home as well. And fast forward, I moved back to LA in 2012, which is why those 2 years in school were important, because it was the introduction to being just in the area and show business. At the same time, in so many ways, a 180 from growing up here on the East Coast in a lot of ways. Number one was the weather, because I even had the idea of like, well, should I move to California, or should I move to North Jersey or into New York and try to like make some kind of headway there? But because of the school was in, that was ultimately and the weather, I'm not going to lie. At that point, I was just like, well, I'm done with winter. I'm not dealing with all that. I can go out and live in sunshine and movie stars for 2 years. And it was great, but ultimately it set the stage for the next 6 years I was out there, because I started a podcast with my friends in 2010. And 2 years into that, we were doing the podcast, we were doing sketch videos, all kinds of stuff. And I was leaning more towards like, oh, I'm going to be creative for a living. I started to put music on the back burner around 2012, just because at that point, that was like when torrents were taking off, and like nobody was buying music.
Livewire, BearShare, ISO Hunt.
This is when all that stuff went. It's like nobody was buying music.
No,
like some people would maybe like buy songs on iTunes, but like no one's buying albums. Streaming hadn't started yet. Not like musicians started making money from streaming or anything. Yeah. But in my mind, and at this point I'm 30, I'm like, well, I don't see a way forward where I'm going to do this. And I, again, had like 2 more bands fall apart since moving back to Jersey, and I'm just like, I don't know if I have the stomach to start another band and do this again, because at that point I'm 15 years into my music career, to use the term generously.
Yeah.
And again, I ultimately take responsibility for the fact that I didn't fulfill a lot of my ambitions, because in hindsight and with therapy and things like that, I realized things I could have done to put myself out there in better ways, and maybe sticking with people who I saw maybe the red flags a little earlier on and just kind of chose to ignore them. But ultimately it was the right thing, because I knew I had other creative muscles I wanted to flex. And so that's where kind of voiceover and voice acting came into play.
So that was so when you returned, when you returned to LA for the second time,
yes,
or whatnot, that's when the podcast story starts. That's when, because I'm trying to keep track, because I know there's the Guide to Life Matters, the only podcast that matters. That one.
The only podcast that matters,
and then C.A.P.E. Obviously.
Correct.
So it was a progression of those 3, I believe. Is that, am I getting it right?
Well, yeah. So the sequence is the timeline.
Yeah.
That's a popular word now.
Yeah.
So the timeline is in 2010 is when I started the show with my friends Andrew, Ryan, and Jack. We just talked about it for a long time. That whole thing happened because we were getting together at the time we were all still living at home. Mm-hmm. And we get together at Andrew's parents' house on Wednesdays and cook dinner. We hadn't met our friend Jack yet, but I mean, we'd worked together, but we kind of hadn't befriended him yet. I worked with him anyway, and but we would get together, and our girlfriends at the time, we would kind of alternate. Like the guys cook one Wednesday, the next week the ladies cook, and then kind of alternate. But our conversations, we would just have so much fun and talk about just kind of, it was our way of catching up on like what happened during the week, in our lives, what was going on in the big world, in our little world, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're saying, let's do something with this. And I got turned on to podcasts while I was in school. Actually, the first podcast I listened to that was an original podcast was Smodcast, Kevin Smith's podcast. And because everything else was it was like radio shows, like there'd be interviews and stuff that would then be released as podcasts, like these little snippets. But as far as like something originally produced just as a podcast, yeah, that was February of 2007. That show launched, and I got in the 7th episode on that. And that was great because also when your days and nights are filled with just playing music and learning music and everything, it's nice to take even an hour a week, or sometimes listen to the same episode, like that week's episode 2-3 times, just put something else in my ears that wasn't music, just to kind of give myself a break, because I was fully immersed in going to school and then performing at school and then performing at night, and there was a lot. So podcasts were kind of a refuge from that in a good way. And anyway, I thought, maybe we should launch a podcast. I kind of bounced the ideas around with my friends, and we didn't know what we were doing. In 2010, podcasts were not much of a thing.
Oh, no, not at all.
Even the big
Not
ones, Nerdist started, Chris Hardwick started Nerdist in early 2010.
Yeah.
Adam Carolla and Mark Maron started podcasting in 2009. Mm-hmm. So they were very much... It wasn't something that was like a known quantity. And at the time, the whole thing was just like, we got to get it on iTunes. That was kind of the only place to get a podcast. You put it on your website and you could put it on iTunes.
Yeah, it was a very niche thing. I mean,
Totally.
What was going on around that time, because I was finishing up college. I finished Penn State in 2011. What was going on was still Sirius XM and Pandora. Like that.
And they just merged. Like Sirius and XM just merged.
Exactly.
I think like 09.
Yeah.
So even that was still like
it was
getting
like
figured out.
podcast was still a very you do that? Like, all right, it was actually, no, it was looked at as radio. Radio, so audio.
But where do I listen to it? No, you need to download it. What?
Why?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, that's the first question we would ask.
Do what? It's like, no, you can put it on your iPod and listen to it. Because this is before, smartphones were barely a thing. The first iPhone was 2007. So nobody even had the reference point of how do I listen to this? Kind of thing. And
you're right.
Nobody really knew. And we didn't even know what we were doing. We literally started with my friend Andrew had taken some audio engineering classes, and he had a vocal microphone. He had a Shure microphone. And otherwise, we had karaoke mics. And I went to Guitar Center, and we bought a mixer and plugged that into a computer and, XLR cables for the mics and everything, and literally just figured it out as we went along. We started recording in June of 2010. We released the show in October. It actually was 10-10-10, October 10th, 2010. Not on purpose. It was just the Friday that, by the time we got the website up and everything. And even at that point, we hadn't gotten the approval from iTunes. It was a much slower process. Now everything's like one click. And your show is all over the place. But at the time, there was a whole approval process with even getting it on iTunes, because we're like, no one's going to hear it if it's not on iTunes. So we were doing that, and it progressed with doing sketch videos and different things like that. We experimented with for a little while with cold openings. We kind of would do these kind of bits
like we did today.
Starting the show. Yeah, exactly. Having some fun with that.
You go, boy.
And that's right. And but things were getting shaky. Summer of 2012 was our roughest patch.
You're still in LA. You're still in
no.
LA. You're back in Jersey.
I'm still in Jersey. Yeah, moved back to Jersey in 2008. Moved back in fall of 2012. But summer of 2012, things were kind of hitting the skids. And I think, and I've talked about this privately with the other three guys. It was, they just didn't see where it was going. I mean, I remember even saying to them in early 2012, I'm like, hey, we can get YouTube on your Blu-ray player and your Xbox or PlayStation now. We should probably do some more videos, because people can watch YouTube on their TV now, because again, streaming sticks weren't a thing. And it was something like, you can get an app for PlayStation and you can watch YouTube, because otherwise YouTube, you're on your computer. And that's it. And I was like, well, people are checking out YouTube. We should make some videos. And it's because everybody kind of didn't see where it was going. And there was no way to measure, there weren't statistics or anything like that at the time either. At least none that we knew of, where you knew how popular the show was. We get some fan emails and stuff, which was great to hear. One of our biggest fans was a man in India, which was crazy, because for a little while, another one of the things we did was movie commentaries. And the guys had done commentary on the first 6, at the time there were only 6, Star Wars movies. And he was looking for Star Wars podcasts, found ours, and it's here's a dude who's we were all in our late 20s when we started, late 20s and then into our early 30s, those first 2 years. And, here's a guy who was Hindu, vegetarian, family man, husband with 2 kids, living in India, far enough away from these 4 smart asses from Jersey who were talking about whatever it is. And he just connected with it so much and would comment on the posts and suggest episodes and stuff like that. It was great to have that kind of encouragement. But I know, ultimately, having had, private conversations with the guys, we haven't talked about it, the complete history, but hopefully we will soon. We've been saying we're gonna, because it's the 10th anniversary of my show this year.
Oh,
actually,
for sure.
April 2023.
Oh man, let me get two Two Don Cannons for that right there.
That's right. So I moved back out to LA in fall of 2012 and started doing my show, Chris Aballo's Podcast Experiment, as a supplement. I was only doing it every other week just to stay sharp. So when I went home and did what I regarded as the big show, I wouldn't have lost a step because I was spending a couple months not being on my exactly.
Right.
So the idea was like, this is like a side project, and the other this is punk rock, and then the only podcast I'm hearing is arena rock.
I like that. Let me get two savages for that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm like, this is something I'm doing just for me to keep sharp. Like I was not really promoting it and everything. It was just like, here's a chance for me to get on a mic and just not collect any dust. So my show kind of started in 2013. Like I said, out of. Like for selfish reasons, just to kind of stay sharp for when I did the show with my friends.
Love it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and one more time for that date. When are you relaunching?
April 24th, Monday, April 24th. Maybe Mondays. We're doing 2 runs of 10, so this will run every Monday through June. And then the show will be back for the second half of 2023, starting in the fall, most likely October.
Sweet. And shameless plug, I will be on C.A.P.E. I can't wait.
C.A.P.E. 224, May 15th. Monday, May 15th.
You go,
boy.
On.
I'm freaking hyped, man.
And it's gonna be something else.
It's gonna be a movie, man. That's what we make around here.
It will. It's gonna be chaotic. You think this is crazy?
Your show.
Wait till you step into my world.
Your show is it's something, man. It's something else. That's what my dad would say.
I'll take that. We can call worse.
All right, so let's hit this, and then we'll wrap. So
sure.
Let's talk about the out. The worst kept secret in entertainment,
in cinema history,
in cinema. So let me set it up real quick.
Yes.
The out. Chris Aballo reached out to me a few months back about a script he was working on that he'd been working on for quite some time, and was wondering if I was interested in playing the co-star to his short. I've done some acting throughout my life, done some on-camera stuff, off-camera stuff, and I was interested, but I needed to know more. He wined and dined me. We went out to dinner a few times, and
it's a lot of years in Hollywood, dude. Listen,
yes,
that's what it takes.
By the second or third time, and the second or third Zoom, I was all in.
Yes, you did. I did send it to you. It was just like, let me know if you're interested.
Right, right.
If you dig this, and you want to move forward with it, just say so. But I think you and I have chemistry. It's just 2 people.
Yeah, and we're
going to carry this thing.
I fell in love with it by the 3rd or 4th dinner. I just
expensive casting.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm not a cheap date. No,
he's not.
But
good God.
But no. Really, really, really fun to do.
Yes.
We shot it in Red Bank.
We did. Shot it in a day, which is still wild.
Which is
to
ridiculous when you think about it.
It's hard to believe it's done.
Yes.
Because we've been. I mean, you were involved for 2 months in between, when I first kind of spoke to you about it.
Yeah.
And when we actually shot it.
Yeah.
And I wrote this at the beginning of July 4th weekend. I did the second draft of it. So I'd kind of been living with it for a little while. It's actually not that long in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, it's a short. We could shoot this thing in a day, maybe 2, and then we end up shooting it in a day.
You don't just hand someone, where's my camera? You don't just hand someone 14 pages and listen, man, you want to be in my movie?
You don't?
But not just anyone. Chris Aballo. You go tight on that. That's how you do it. But it was a challenge, but it was fun. It was fun, man. It was fun. You are a great scene partner. We had a lot of. The outtakes are going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Shout out to the team. Shout out to Christian.
Right.
Shout out to Nick.
That's right. Shout out to Tom.
Shout out to Tom
for tolerating us.
Oh my God,
the unsung hero of the production. More on that. Yeah. Now the thing is with there will be, like I said, at the point when this goes out, there should be at least a behind the scenes teaser. But I'm going to be entering the short in some film festivals and stuff like that.
And I can't wait.
And because of premiere rules and stuff like that, because they all have their different rules when it comes to where it's been
3
available.
Dom DeMarcos for that right there.
Yeah.
Festival season.
That's right.
That's good stuff, buddy. Good stuff.
Right.
Good stuff, buddy.
And so I don't want to oversell or even get too much into what it's about because I don't know when everyone's going to be able to see it. But it's done. It's great. We had a lot of fun. We rehearsed the hell out of it. Let me just tell you, this guy, all right, this man here, he put the work in when it came to rehearsing because he knew his stuff. He brought energy to it. He was able to punch up a couple of lines. There were, in particular, 2 moments where he was just no, let's ratchet this up one more. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. And I'm also not the type of writer who's just like, no, I slaved over
Read
this.
my words.
Yeah, no, not at all.
The way
I'm just
they
like,
are on the paper.
I just think it's a conversation between two friends. Like, just deliver it naturally. Like, even like we rehearsed it a bunch of times, and I direct you a little bit on the day.
Yeah.
But at that point, like, we had our rhythm where it's just like, well, you know what you're trying to say, and you know the message you're communicating, so it doesn't need to be like word perfect. Like, it doesn't need to be exactly what's on the page.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be I hate to use the word organic, but it's supposed to be an organic conversation between two friends.
For sure.
And that's exactly how it played. We just did it over and over again for 6 hours, top to bottom. We did it so many times. Like, again, 14 pages of dialogue, top to bottom.
I was hearing lines in my sleep. That's where that's
you were hearing lines.
This Tarantino,
dude,
the son of Tarantino over here, man. It was fun. It was fun. But
worse.
But the out it will be available on all digital platforms at some point.
It will be seen. It will be seen. We don't know when, but yeah, in the fall the plan is for it to make a few debuts somewhere, and depending on festival rules and stuff like that. Because I have my wish list. I don't want to put anything out there now. I want to manifest it, but I'm not going to put it out there even on the U-Goboy podcast. But
live from Bravery Studios.
That's right.
It's like, it was funny. It's like Mongo. Shout out to Mongo. I love you. He's my co-host for the Sports Talk. When I'll say something and he'll like crack a joke, he'll be like, "It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, a secret word."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's good. It makes complete sense now.
For sure. But no, Chris. Round of applause for Chris Aballo. That hour just went by in a blink, and we are going to wrap.
Yes.
We are going to wrap with some of that rapid fire. Can I get the Fat Joe? Can I get the Fat Joe?
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
And let me get a Chris Tucker. Why not? Oh, my God. So.
Are you not entertained? Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
Do you understand the words? Yeah, it's the wrong movie. That was Money Talks.
No, I know that. I'm just thinking Gladiator. I'm like, we need that. I think you got it now.
Yes.
You can use that as a drop if you want.
That's
like
coming.
A very insensitive Chris Tucker impression.
That's coming. This episode of Rapid Fire is brought to you by C.A.P.E, the Chris Aballo Podcast and Experiment. It's available on all digital platforms.
Close enough.
All that good stuff. So it gets warm. Rest in peace to James Lipton. That's where I got a lot of these question ideas from.
All right.
So Chris Aballo, are you ready for Rapid Fire?
I'm ready for Rapid Fire, starring Brandon Lee. Wait, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
Okay.
No.
My mistake.
So Rapid Fire, here we go. Let's rock. Chris Aballo, what is your favorite word?
Fuck.
Shout out to Jason Enrique.
I mean, let's be honest.
Marvin.
I mean, it's honestly. I mean, technically, it would be motherfucker.
That was his. That was his.
Yeah, I mean,
that was Jason Enrique.
But just overall, I mean, it's the word that has the most utility in the English language.
Oh my God, you're taking me back to prep school. Shout out to St. Benedict's Prep. All right, what is your least favorite word?
No. Nice. And there's my asterisk to that is no means no, guys. Okay.
Yes.
That does.
Yes. Where's my camera? No means no.
Yes. That's the caveat to my answer, which is like no means no. I just being told no, which is like I guess can't be my least favorite word because part of me is
in
like,
a career.
I'll fucking show you
Context.
Yes.
Career wise and ambition wise.
Yeah. Just being told like no, you can't.
Not other stuff that can be flagged or get channels taken down. And we'll continue. Okay. In your group of friends, are you the one that's always late or the one that everybody brings all their problems to?
More so the one that's always late. I'm more the former.
You were great today. You were early.
I am. That's the funny thing. I have a reputation with my friends for being late to a lot of stuff, but it's like they're the assholes who show up early. Like, I'm sorry, but all right, we're meeting at somebody's house. Like, we've been invited over at 7 p.m. Getting there at 6:45 is not the flex you think it is. Okay, it's being an asshole because they're not ready yet. Showing up at 7:10 is fine because the party started and things are going.
Great grace period.
You know what? I don't want to hear shit about me being late. You assholes know who you are.
Biggest pet peeve.
Savage.
Abuse of animals.
Ooh, worst fear.
The things we fear the most are things that have already happened to us. I'm going to say losing loved ones. Loved ones passing away.
Deep. Unfiltered, authentic conversations. That's what we do here. Favorite podcast?
That I'm not on? Just kidding. Right now, I will say I don't have an all-time, but currently I'm doing a deep dive into Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade.
Which I work on. By the way,
I know you do. And I was not pulling up for that reason.
Shameless plug. Shout out to Odyssey, Kate Stay tuned.
I literally am like I'm just going through that because I'm fascinated by the history, and I love the fact that everybody. I mean, that was my generation of SNL. The overlap with Dana Carvey and David Spade, because there was like 2 years in there. But it's like, I love the fact that all of them, it's a surreal experience even for them to have been a part of that. Just to be like, we can't believe this happened when they talked to Chris Rock and Mike Myers and dudes from that time. Like, just the idea that they're as shocked by it. Like, it's great to hear about that era because that was really cool. So I'm currently binging that. So right now that gets top priority.
Good call. Shout out to Greg Holzman. Yeah, we actually work on that together. All right, favorite movie?
There can't be just one. It's impossible.
Favorite two movies. So, I'll give you a great. I'll give you a great.
Rattle any movie.
Any two. Give me two.
As has been pointed out to me, any movie with a damaged male lead. Sideways, Shaun of the Dead, Fight Club, American Psycho.
Give me two.
There's four. There. Back to the Future. There's 5. Lethal Weapon 3. 6. Heat. 7. Move on. Let's keep it moving.
Okay. Favorite director.
Oh God. It's got to be Tarantino because he's 9 for 9. I mean, just logic says...
Give me a Savage there, please. Savage for that.
Savage.
Love it. I just rewatched Pulp Fiction a couple nights ago.
I mean,
still a great movie.
It's between like and love. Like the entire spectrum. Like there's not a weak one in there. And I really don't know if just strictly by numbers, if there's a director that has better stats.
Yahtzee. I'll give me Yahtzee for that. All right.
Yahtzee.
Dream movie that you'd be casted in. Who'd be your director? Who'd be your male co-star? Who'd be your female co-star? Real quick.
Ooh, that's good. Male co-star, Joe Pesci.
Nice.
Female co-star, hopefully co-romantic lead, Sandra Bullock.
That's it.
And director, I am going to go with... If we're going to go with living, let's play it that way.
Living or dead?
Living or dead?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Ivan Reitman.
Nice. Well done. Marv approves. All right. Favorite Sopranos character?
Oh, God. Honestly, it's a tie between Tony and Uncle June. Because Tony reminds me of my dad when I was growing up, and Uncle June is my dad now. Now, I realize they're not the same character at all, but there's something about the father that Tony Soprano is, and then the old man Uncle June is, that like my father somehow transitioned from one to the other.
Jersey's in the building.
So,
Jersey, get a Savage for that.
I
Savage,
can't just
please.
pick one. I know I'm a horrible person to answer these questions.
It's okay. That's the point.
Can't give just one.
Favorite Simpsons character?
It's got to be Homer.
Nice.
Idiot with a heart of gold. That's me.
Favorite snack?
Chips and salsa.
Yahtzee.
Always.
Nice.
The ultimate is chips and salsa with get a block of pepper jack and shred that on the salsa.
All right.
Yahtzee.
Favorite 90s sitcom?
I've got an off the beaten path choice. I'm going to say Murphy Brown.
Okay.
In hindsight,
Interesting.
watching that show at the time, my mother and sister were big fans. So it was like Monday nights we watched it together. Like the family did watch it together. It was back in the day when there were no choices. No, but it's a show that 30 years ago, nobody was skewering public figures like the president, the vice president, the Pope. I mean, now everything's kind of up for grabs, but like at the time, that show was so much a reflection of literally like the current times. It just like, wow, nobody. I mean, a lot of stuff was fluff, where there was like Home Improvement or like the shows on TGIF. And I'm not putting down fluff. I'm just saying this was a show that like was actually skewering what was going on at a time when it's like, wow, nobody was doing that. Like now everybody goes after, the president and half for the last few administrations. But like you don't have somebody on there who's like impersonating the president and, impersonating the Pope. You're basing your season premiere on hitting back at the vice president.
It was ahead of its
called
time.
Your show. Oh God, yeah,
definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah, and it's like even now it's kind of stunning. Like, wow, they got away with this. This is a mainstream as possible show, an Emmy-winning show, and they like just skewered so much of what was going on at the time when nobody else was doing it.
That's the first.
That's my choice.
I don't think we'll ever get that again, but well done.
Probably
well done.
not.
All right,
but that's okay.
All right. So, celebrity crush growing up.
Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
Always top of the list.
And last but not least, to wrap it up, Marv's giving me the wrap-up sign. What is one job you think you would be good at if you weren't a podcaster / content creator?
Wow, that's what I'm thinking. A job that I'm not already doing. I have been a good manager at different jobs because just like the directing thing, it's like working with people, getting everybody on the same page, kind of communicating a vision, all of that. I will say my retail management experience did inform a lot of the hosting, producing, and a lot of the things that go with working just with people overall. So
manager.
I would, just be an overall manager at some level.
Okay.
Possibly CEO if I wanted to completely.
All right, that was rapid fire. Give me some bombs. Give me some bombs. All right, plug your stuff in your camera, and I'll wrap it and get us out of here.
Thank you very much. Well, you can follow me at Chris Aballo on Twitter and TikTok, and Chris Sells Out on Instagram. You can follow my show at C.A.P.E Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. There's video clips going out all the time. Right now, we're running
the best of 2022, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes start Monday, April 24th. And there are video clips most days. There's obviously the short ones, the TikToks and Reels, and then there's going to be some longer clips on YouTube as well. So make sure you're subscribed everywhere and following. Lots of cool stuff coming up, including this man right here, who's going to be on May 15th, K224. That's right. Where we will not have drops, just jokes.
It's gonna break my heart.
It's gonna, yeah, but it's gonna be. It's weird for me to refer to my show as being focused, but I think by comparison,
oh, absolutely. I've seen the clips of that. But let me wrap here.
Yes, sir.
One more time, round of applause for Chris Aballo. This guy right here, long hair, all that stuff. We don't care.
Bound voyage, motherfucker.
Yeah. And as always, you can find me, U-Goboy88. That's on TikTok, IG, Facebook, u-goboy.com. U-Goboy Music, go stream it. Jonah the Great, Juice vs. Sauce, 5-Star Dancer, Bruce Wayne Money, Ezoku, Tippin', all the time. And of course, out now, whole Vibe Willie Beeman video coming soon. Streaming on all digital platforms. Shout out to the Base Podcast. Grab the merch. Again, one more time, wrap it up. Give me all those applause. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll wrap like this.
Boy.
That's the belt. That's the other belt. That's Chris Aballo. Long hair, don't care. And I'm U-Goboy. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Yahtzee.
Top 10, it's top 5 of who the best is. Money straight, my fam straight. I'm George straight, that's Texas. Angel wings on a Lambo. Praise the Lord, that's a blessing. Bentley truck like Lex Luger. Yeah, nigga, I'm flexing. I'm Richard Sherman, I back it up. Aunt your mama, I stack it up. Hey, Poppy, yo, Gotti. Swear to God, I rack it up. Still Jersey, that's all day.
You go, boy.